Let's continue exploring the universe within art and the art behind farming. I'm your host, OmLedu, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to build a super easy coral and seagrass farm. It can even produce bone meal by composting the seagrass. Now you can build this in a way that will allow you to AFK, but the manual one works so well that that's actually what I would recommend. But no matter if you want the AFK or the manual design, it all has the same prerequisites. So to harvest seagrass, you will need shears, and to harvest coral, you will need silk touch. So to harvest the coral and seagrass at the same time, you will need shears that have silk touch. Not only that, but you will have to build this in a warm ocean biome. One way to find this out is by bone mealing the bottom of the ocean to see if coral will grow. Another telltale sign that you're in a warm ocean is that the bottom will be made out of sand instead of gravel. So simply start off by finding a warm ocean biome. Now the way that this works is that we will either use our shears or our hoe to just go back and forth and harvest all of this stuff. As we walk over pressure plates, that will then bone meal the dirt platforms to grow more seagrass and coral. And this will produce a ton of seagrass. And so, if you use shears to grab the seagrass, you can then take the seagrass and turn that back into bone meal so that you can then keep fueling the farm or use the bone meal for something else. Now sadly, seagrass does require you to use shears, and coral requires you to have silk touch. So to harvest both at the same time, you will need shears that have silk touch. And to make this fully AFK, all we have to do is add a minecart with some activator rails. As the minecart passes over the activator rails, it will act just like the pressure plates and then bone meal the platform. Now a hoe doesn't seem to take any durability loss from harvesting the coral, but the shears will need to be replaced over time. As for the materials, this is what you will need in order to build it, depending on which design you build. If you want the manual one, you simply need 2 pressure plates, but if you want the AFK one, you will need the rails, minecart, and levers. Now also, if you want to use the seagrass in a composter, you can bring that as well, but everything else is in exact quantities. But now on to the build tutorial. The first thing to mention is that you don't have to build this down at water level. You could actually build this way up in the sky. As long as it is still in a warm ocean biome, it will grow coral. But no matter where you want to build it, what I would do first is go ahead and bone meal the bottom of the ocean where you plan to build the farm, just to double check and make sure that coral does in fact grow. Now you can just pillar up to whatever height you want to build the farm at. Then from there, we're going to go over by 5 more blocks, and then 1 block inside from both edges, we're going to go back 2 so that we're left with this shape right here. Now we're going to place dispensers facing up on these 2 ends, and then redstone dust on top of all of the other blocks. The front of the farm is where the line of dust is, and from there we're going to go diagonally up by 1, aligned with all of the dust, and now we need to build a 6x3 dirt platform above both of the dispensers. The reason it has to be this size is that coral and seagrass will only grow in a 3x3 area surrounding the tile that was bone mealed. But after that, we need to place a line of blocks, buttons, and pressure plates. Then we need to go up by an additional block on each side so that we don't fall off the farm. And now we need to go over to the right or to the left. We need to place a temporary block so that we can place a double chest 1 block away from the dirt, aligned with the front 2 dirt. Now we need 2 hoppers pointed into that chest, and a 3rd hopper pointed into the middle one. The reason we want to have 2 hoppers pointed into the chest is that this farm produces so much stuff it's hard for them to keep up. But now on top of each hopper, we need to go up by 3 with either walls, fences, or glass panes. That's totally up to you, it just needs to be a half block. Then we're going to surround those walls in solid blocks on each side. Now we just need to enclose the dirt platform, so go up by 3 blocks along every single side. Now as for the front, the buttons count as the bottom block, so you just need 2 blocks above each button, and you can either use solid blocks or you can even use glass if you just want to see the inside of the farm. That is totally up to you. But now we need to place in the water. So along 2 of the walls, we need to place a water bucket every other block so that we turn in the entire bottom into water source blocks. So be sure to place an extra bucket to make sure that all of those blocks are water sources. Now we need a temporary platform right here, and then 2 water buckets on each corner on the opposite side from where your wall is, so that the water flows toward the wall. And now break out your temporary platform, and your water is now done. Your farm is now done. The only thing left is to place bone meal into the dispensers back here, And of course, you could always add a couple of hoppers and a chest in order to automatically load even more bone meal if you need thousands and thousands and thousands of seagrass and coral. But now, stepping on the pressure plates will bone meal the two 3x3 areas, causing seagrass and coral to grow. So again, if you just want the coral, use a hoe with silk touch. If you just want the seagrass and no coral, use unenchanted shears. And if you want both coral and seagrass, use shears that have silk touch and preferably unbreaking 3 so that they last longer. So keep in mind that if you want to use enchanted shears, you will need a cheap way to get at least silk touch. It's also good to remember that you are in the ocean. You know, if you didn't build this up in the sky, you can still be killed by drowned or by phantoms. So especially if you're planning on adding the rails so that you can AFK this farm, I would highly recommend building you a little box with a door to keep you 100% safe from all of the nasty ocean mobs. But of course, the access and safety of this farm is all totally up to you and what you're comfortable with. Now, one thing before we get to the AFK mode is that you will need access to this chest somehow, so I would recommend just building a little platform. And if you want to add the seagrass composter, I would just add a hopper going into that chest, a composter on top, and then some sort of container for you to load in the extra seagrass that you don't want. That will then turn it into bone meal, load it back into your coral chest, so that you can then pull out that bone meal and load it back into the dispensers to keep the farm a-goin' and a-goin'. Now, if you want this to be fully AFK, it is as simple as replacing the pressure plates with some rails, a minecart, a couple of levers, and extending out the front platform by one additional block off to the side. Now, as for the redstone, it's going to be exactly the same, except one less dust on each side, because the activator rails actually need to be one block away from the powered rails. So we're going to have a powered rail and a lever on each end. One of the levers is always going to be turned on to keep that powered rail turned on, and the other will be how you start and stop the minecart. Then we need two activator rails 2 blocks away from each other in the middle. So build your rails, throw down your minecart, and with this design you don't even need an access platform because we can just click on the minecart and teleport up here, like so. Flick the lever and you will start moving back and forth. So just rig something up to hold down your mine button and you can just walk away, go get some food, and when you come back you will have tons and tons of seagrass and coral. Now, even though the minecart version is AFK, because of how the activator rails interact with the powered rails, it will actually consume more bone meal and give you less rates. The manual version will give you better rates for your time and consume less bone meal. It just can't be AFK. But that's all we got for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe, and be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you did or didn't like about the video, if you have any questions or requests, and I will do my best to help you out. Or if you don't know what to say, just tell me hi. I would love to hear from you. But until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, building an awesome farm with you, and reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!